Alrighty, everybody knows that I'm pumped for this one. This is going to be a damn good match right here. United States Champion Rusev going up against Jack Swagger. These guys really have torn the house down in my book the last two times they've gotten into the ring. I can't remember what the name of the match is, or the name of the show that was before SummerSlam. If it was Battleground or Payback or anything along those lines. It was the first time that Rusev and Swagger got in the ring, and Swagger was one of the most over guys in the company. I think he surprised a lot of people. A lot of people liked doing the "We the People" whenever Swagger would come out, and everybody sort of cheered along with that. But the first time that Zeb and Swagger came down to the ring to confront Lana and Rusev, I think everyone who was in that arena in WWE really got behind them. And I think that was on Monday Night Raw. When they did it the next night on SmackDown, I don't think WWE had any thoughts in their mind that people would be that behind it. Basically, they'd take something that's so easy, that wrestling used so many times back in the 1980s, it always worked, taking the big Russian heel and putting up against the all-American American hero, whether if it's Hacksaw Jim Duggan or anybody like that just carried the flag down to the ring and just, fought for the red, white, and blue. Sergeant Slaughter is another name that mentioned that. It always works. It always has worked, and it always worked. No one can cheer, or nobody out there is going to be able to boo somebody that is going all out for your country, trying to take down our outside enemies, and Rusev right now is enemy number one, holding the one thing that means most to the WWE, the United States Champion. Of course, that is a big-time joke. Jack Swagger held this title back in 2012, one of the worst reigning champions that's ever held that belt. The second he won it on a pay-per-view, he was immediately pushed right over to Superstars. It was the only place we saw him defend the United States Championship before finally dropping it along the way. If you can remember, Jack Swagger is the only man to ever hold a victory over Rusev, although it was a disqualification. Rusev has never been forced to tap out or been laid down for the 1, 2, 3. Swagger and Rusev had the great flag match at SummerSlam. I take great pride in one of my favorite wrestlers having a match that got put on the best of 2014 WWE pay-per-view matches. I can't think of another time that he's had a high quality match that's gotten that. The last time that Swagger's been in a high quality feud, I would have to go all the way back to WrestleMania 29 when he blew his shot at becoming World Heavyweight Champion. This is probably the third shot that Swagger's getting at becoming a big star in WWE, and him being the guy who's going to be able to beat Rusev really could do it. I know that they put a little bit of a storyline into this, basically saying that Lana and Rusev attacked Zeb in the back. My biggest question was why Zeb was walking around alone before the Jack Swagger match where he was able to attack him. Why didn't Swagger chase down Rusev and put a beating to him in the back? We've seen basically where Jack Swagger came out and attacked Rusev, on Monday Night Raw, and he's put a whooping on him every time that they've been out there in an all-out brawl that wasn't a match. It's been Rusev who is limping away after the ankle lock. I don't think this is where Jack Swagger's going to get the victory, but I would love it. You'd hear me all the way from Sacramento, California, marking out all over the internet. You wouldn't even need the internet. You wouldn't need YouTube or STS radio. Basically, it would just be me yelling out my window about how crazy this is going to be for him. I think that Rusev's going to get the win here. Hopefully, in all of the matches that Rusev and Swagger has done, Rusev has basically treated Swagger like he was one of his best friends in the business, making him look really, really big. But at the end of the day, Rusev's the guy who walks away with the championship, and he walks away with the win. But hopefully, we'll see Rusev limping on Monday Night Raw after TLC. I don't know what they're building Rusev up to at this point. You got to be thinking WrestleMania at this time. In my mind, I see John Cena going up against Rusev, being the guy for the United States to really take this guy down. But at that point, you really want John Cena going after Rusev, who is the United States champion. I know that a lot of people think that it's a downgrade when a guy goes after a mid-class championship after being, the WWE or the World Heavyweight Championship. Honestly, the two guys that come to my mind is Rey Mysterio and Chris Jericho. Honestly, neither one of those guys, it never really hurt their their main event capability. Whenever those guys fall into the mid card, you always know that they're going to have a good match. And whenever they build their ways up to becoming a main eventer in WWE again, you always know that that's going to be another good match as well. Rey Mysterio is a guy that probably in my mind I don't want him to see him ever have the World Heavyweight Championship or the WWE Championship as well. If you go back and you think about him winning the title and being the champion after he beat Rey Mysterio. It was Rey Mysterio versus Kurt Angle versus Randy Orton at that one WrestleMania. And then, of course, after winning the championship, of course, he said that he did it because of Eddie. And then he would go on to be, just basically murdered. He lost to Sabu. He lost to the Great Khali. He finally lost the championship to Booker T. But it was just like he was the champion that couldn't win a match. Yeah, all the matches always end because of disqualification or count out, basically. I think they had to use the thing of Eddie Guerrero. No, I apologize. Chavo Guerrero turning on him in order to give him another feud and to get him a way out of that main event. It was almost like WWE wanted Rey Mysterio to fail. Like they said, this is a great story to push us to WrestleMania, but there's no way in the world this is gonna work after this is all said and done. But back to this one, I'm cheering for Jack. I'm glad that he's on pay-per-view again. It seems when he's been on Monday Night Raw, the fans are really behind him, which means a lot to me because he's a guy that I've been rooting for ever since he was on ECW, even when he was a heel or when he was on Monday Night Raw, going after the United States Championship when MVP was having it. I thought it was the biggest miracle in the world when he won the Money in the Bank at WrestleMania 26, cashing it in, of course, beating Chris Jericho to become the champion. He didn't have the best run in the world, but I've been trying to push him to get back to that point because it's always fun when you pick somebody. It's almost like watching AAA baseball and pushing a guy all the way from the bottom all the way to the top. So I want to see Swagger back on top again someday, and I think it's going to happen. I think that he really is a guy that the company is sticking with and wants to see him get up to there. He has a great story. He has one of those great backgrounds of being an All-American wrestler as well as that football background. He beat Cain Velasquez, one of the greatest UFC fighters, not once but twice while in college. That's a great thing to fall back on. A lot of people doing a lot of the CM Punk talk about Punk leaving WWE and heading over and now going to be fighting for UFC. The few names that were mentioned of guys that were involved in WWE right now that could go right into UFC, Swagger was one of those guys that said if he goes in, could probably have a lot of success. So I'm looking all out for Swagger at the pay-per-view. Hopefully you guys are too. We, the people. That's going to be the end of this match. We'll go on and end this segment, and we'll be back with another one in just a second.